Hello students, today we are going to discuss about stochastic process. What is stochastic process? The word stochastic derives from the Greek word stochastikos. That means able to guess or random or chance. So the antonym of all these words are sure or deterministic or certain. So if we consider the very simple example of flipping a coin. So if we flip a coin into the air, then it will surely return to the earth somewhere. So this is certain that if we flip the coin, it will return to the earth somewhere, right? There is no randomness. However, wherever it lands, there must be a head or tail, which is random. So the outcome of the experiment is random. So we all know that for a fair coin, the probability of getting a head or the probability of getting a tail is half. Now, so whenever in real life situation we wish to predict something, then if we do not follow any model to predict the real world changes, then it might be too risky or too expensive or too slow. If we do it by using any sample, then also it will be too risky or perhaps too expensive or too slow. So if we predict the effect of that real world change without the benefit of a model, that could have serious consequences. For example, if we consider the economy, so if we predict the economic changes without any model, then the economy might go into recession, which costing our government the next election. Even if we consider it in the sector of public health, then without getting prediction from any model, then the patient might die. So modeling is very important to predict the effect of a real world change. So now what is a model? So we can say a model is an imitation of a real world system or process. It enables us the possible consequences to be investigated. So what is a model, or how we build a model? So to build a model, we need to consider a set of mathematical or logical assumptions about how it works needs to be developed. So we need to have a set of mathematical or logical assumptions to build a model for any system or process. And see here that the complexity of the model, it is determined from the complexity of the relationships between the various model parameters. So how it looks, it will be determined by the model parameters. Again, if we consider different examples from the real life situations, then we can say different kinds of models are like the economy of a country, the workings of the human heart, the future cash flows of the broker distribution channel for a financial company. So these are the different situations where we use different kinds of models to predict the real world changes. Now we have different types of model. Those are classified into two types of models. One is stochastic model and another one is deterministic model. So why we need to have the model? Because we want to predict as accurately as possible which imitate the random nature of the variables. So if we compare them side by side, the stochastic model and the deterministic model. So for the stochastic model, it is always associated with the random nature of the input components. Whereas for the deterministic model, we don't need to consider any randomness to estimate the real world change. It is fixed. Also, in a stochastic model, the output is also random, and we predict it by using the inputs, which are random variables. Whereas in the deterministic model, the inputs are fixed, and also we will have a single output, which is here. See, in the deterministic model, we predict a single outcome from a given set of circumstances. Whereas for stochastic model, the output is only a snapshot or an estimate of the characteristics of the model for a given set of inputs. Also, in the stochastic models, a set of possible outcomes, they are weighted by their likelihoods or probabilities. So we can say all the outcomes of the model in stochastic process, they are weighted by their corresponding probabilities or likelihoods. So in a nutshell, we can say for deterministic model, all these are fixed. The output, the inputs, everything. There is no random component. Whereas for a stochastic model, all outputs or inputs are associated with random nature. Okay, so we can explain it by using a real life situation to determine or to differentiate what is deterministic model and what is stochastic model. So if we consider the example like for an investor that he brought shares worth £5,000 and we want to estimate that how they will be worth in a year's time. So we consider the expected growth rate of 7%. So if we want to estimate the worth after 1 year, considering the 7% rate of return, then for deterministic model, this is very simple and this is fixed. Like we can determine the value by using this equation. That means his investment £5,000 times, considering the rate of return 1.07. So it is £5,350. But see, in real life situation, the prediction would not be like that, because over time there might be some random nature of the growth rate. So that's why when we consider it in terms of stochastic model, see, from their past performance of the company or the prospects for the company, So we have this information about their growth rate. That means 20% growth will occur with probability 0.1, 10% growth with probability 0.6, there will be 0% growth or no growth with probability 0.2, and the growth will be decreased by 10% with probability 0.1. Now see, considering this function, so if we add up these probabilities, it will also be the same as 7%. So if we consider the growth rate corresponding their probabilities, so see, from this equation, it is seen here that the growth is still 7%. Then what would be the outcomes? So considering this random nature, so if we run the model for 100 times, then the 100 predicted values might look like this: 5,500 pounds, 5,000 pounds, 6,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds, 4,500 pounds, 6,000 pounds, and so on. So from this example, it is very clear that in real life situation, when we consider the changes, then we must consider the randomness of the situation. Like for this case, we must consider the randomness in the growth rate. Now I hope you can clearly distinguish between deterministic model and stochastic model.